There we go. I was muted. Hey guys, welcome back to some more videos and welcome to my random discussion on the Robocop trilogy. Um, I absolutely did not plan this until this week literally approached, and I was like, you know what? Let me just get on here. And I was like, wanting to talk about something. I wasn't really sure what topic I wanted to choose, and so I went with Robocop because I had recently, like around 2 months ago, watched all three. I just had the basic Blu-ray. It looks fine to me. I know there's a bunch of 4Ks out, and everybody's freaking out because there's 4Ks. These look fine. They look good. I'm cool with these, and they got some features. Um, I actually did not plan on the same time as the Robo documentary, the Robo documentary that they're making. Robocop. There we go. Robocop documentary they're making. It's going to be on Screenbox. It may be on there or it's going to be coming soon. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I know they're doing a weird idea where it's like seasons. So like season 1 will be about RoboCop 1, 2 will be about RoboCop 2, and 3 and so on. Strange way to do it. Don't know if I'm a fan of how they're doing it that way. At least that's how I've heard they're doing it. I haven't double checked it yet, but I've heard they're just going to make it a bunch of seasons, which is to me strange. But there's plenty of making ofs already. I'll check it out. I mean, I'm not going to just not watch it, but like I said, you get some features on here. I've had some other special editions that, I've seen plenty of interviews and plenty of making ofs, so it's not really that big of a deal to me that documentary is being broken up in different parts. But yeah, definitely didn't plan on the same time that starting to stir up that I did this video. I actually heard about it Wednesday or Thursday as I was going through Screenbox and I seen it pop up and everybody's been talking about it. So yeah, that's happening. So if you're a fan of RoboCop, there is a documentary that's going to be coming out here soon. But today we're just going to be talking about the RoboCop trilogy. We're going to be kicking back, relaxing, taking it easy, and talking about probably one of my favorite films, at least in the sci-fi genre. You could call it a sci-fi action movie, horror. Some people call it a horror film. I don't consider it a horror film. I don't really know why it gets lumped into that category. To me, it's not a horror film. It's a dark action sci-fi movie. So, but it is one of my favorite sci-fi films. And I do remember growing up, particularly with the first movie, and seeing that and not seeing the sequels. I had not seen the sequels until a couple months ago. Finally checked them out, and we'll get into that here in a minute. But of course, if we're talking about RoboCop, we're going to be kicking it off with my thoughts on the original, the classic from 1987, I think is when the first one came out. RoboCop. Yes, the classic RoboCop, starring Peter Weller, as well as Nancy Allen. It's actually a huge cast here. Ronnie Cox, Dana Hurley from Halloween 3. Is it Michael Fortier? Kurtwood Smith's in this movie as well as the main bad guy. Ray Weiss is in this movie. Paul McCrane from the Blob remake is in this film as well. So you got a wonderful cast here. And I think that's one of the movie's strengths is the fact that it's got one of my favorite cast lineups out there. And I think they all go together and they all bring a very unique energy to this film. But yeah, RoboCop 1, it is an absolute classic. I love this film. I think it does a lot of things right. And I think it's one of those movies where no matter how much you try to quote unquote improve this movie, you can't. It's a movie of the 80s. It fits the 80s, but at the same time, it's timeless. And it was a movie that nobody really had hope for. It didn't really have that big of a budget. It had a really bad production history. I know the director really went through a lot and was treating the cast pretty harshly, at least from what I've heard. Um, I think the studio did give them a bit more money, so you could say that there were some people that believed in the movie. But I mean, a lot of people turned the project down based on the title alone, not even reading the script. Just the title alone is what made people nervous because it's like Robocop. And I mean, it really is. I mean, I remember when I heard about Robocop for the first time, it was almost like when I first heard about Planet of the Apes. I heard about it and I was like, Planet of the Apes? That sounds lame. I'm not going to watch that. And so for years, I just didn't watch it. I didn't see a purpose. I'm like, what is so good about Planet of the Apes? And then I watched it, and Planet of the Apes is like one of my favorite films. Same with this movie. It's like Robocop, looking at the poster and looking at the design at face value, and it's just like, oh man, what is this? And it ends up being a lot more deeper than the title being more deeper than just the Robocop character. It really does a great job at fleshing out characters and showing that if you put a bit of detail, you put a bit of effort into your films, that you can pull off any idea and make it work. And I mean, the same thing happened with Batman. I mean, Batman was a movie that a lot of people just said, we can't make it serious. We can't do it. And Tim Burton did it. And ever since then, Batman's been 100% serious and has been just the no comedy, dark, brooding character. Hey, how's it going, movie fan 23? How you doing, man? I believe that's Keen, right? Is that you, Keen? What's up, man? Yeah, RoboCop's a classic, absolutely. Yeah, RoboCop though, it just, I love the idea of it being a fun movie, but also dark and gory. It's got its serious moments. It's got its pretty good, like, touching moments too. I mean, the moment where Peter Weller is having flashbacks. Oh, okay, how's it going, man? It's good to hear from you again. But I love the flashbacks of him remembering his past and how his life was, and you really feel bad for this character. There's such torture to this guy, and he's just bound to this body, this artificial being, to make money, for these people to make money. You hate OCP, and they really did a great job of making you hate OCP later on too. But yeah, in this one, you absolutely hate these characters. They're all assholes. Definitely a commentary on 80s Wall Street, of the money hungry dudes, young guys, that just want to get to the top. It's very cutthroat, and just a commentary on that. And I definitely noticed that. I definitely noticed the whole, how police officers are treated in this movie, and how maybe it can reflect that cops, even in real life, they make money, but they don't make as much money as, I mean, they risk their lives on a daily basis, and they're not even getting paid a lot for it. And just the requirements that come with that job. It has a lot of commentary, a commentary on poverty, commentary on just crime-ridden city, and I think it takes place in Detroit, or maybe it takes place in Detroit. So they did a great job making it look futuristic. I love the fact that it's not too far. It's sci-fi, but it's not ridiculous sci-fi to the point to where you're rolling your eyes and calling it lame. It walked the line. It walked a line, and I assume that it was extremely difficult to do, because you go one way too much, you get Robocop 3, which we'll get to that, but Robocop 3 is what could have happened with Robocop 1. And this movie walked that thin line and ended up making it a solid film. And the remake tries to go the other way with it, where we're going to take it 100% serious, have barely any jokes, and the jokes that are there are lame. We're going to make it PG-13. We're going to make it to where the RoboCop is he's more fast and agile. The people that made that remake, which we won't talk about that remake on here, I might touch on it. I'm not even wanting to touch it. I'm wanting to stay away from it. I don't even know. I might bring it up towards the end of the review, but I don't want to get sick. I don't want to catch a disease from that remake because that remake is horrible. But this is just going to be a video to talk about the trilogy because I can't stand that remake. I really can't. I watched it once and I won't ever watch it again. It was that bad. But yeah, it has a lot of comedy in there that I really enjoy. Can you fly, Bobby? Just give me my fucking phone call. You can't do this. You're a cop. It's just mainly, I mean, it's mainly all of it's coming from Kurtwood Smith. I think he steals this fucking movie. He absolutely steals it. He's one of the best just scumbag characters that you can come across in a film. And I really do enjoy Ronnie Cox. He's more of the serious villain of the movie. But I really do love Kurtwood Smith. He does a great job in this film. Absolutely entertaining. And I think Peter Weller was the perfect choice for for Robocop. And I think you're not going to really, maybe you could recast it, but the people they chose weren't really that good. But I think Peter Weller, his voice, his mannerisms, just how the suit looks on him, just nails everything about it. It's a very difficult part because not only are you in a suit that's over 90 degrees in there, probably over 100 degrees, sweating weight off, losing so much weight under the suit. It's very limited. You can't move around a lot. It's claustrophobic. And you have to be able to act in that suit, which is extremely difficult because now your facial, expressions are gone, your limited mobility, and on paper, people are already thinking this is a lame idea. Robocop is a lame character, just on paper. It's like it's stupid. It's a stupid idea. But it took an idea that it sounds stupid, something that you would see on Sci-Fi Channel. Sci-Fi presents the RoboCop versus Sharknado. It just fits right in with that type of stuff. But God, they pull it off so well in this movie, man. It's so iconic. I love so many different scenes, whether it's the scene at the gas station where this guy's messing with them and he makes the entire gas station blow up. This guy's trying to rape a girl and he shoots him in the dick. He just, all the different scenes they have in this movie. There's a scene where one of the characters gets toxic waste dumped on him and he's just become this melted, mutated thing. And tries to grab onto somebody. Get off me, man! Throws him off. Gets splatted. I mean, absolutely splatted on this windshield. I mean, just absolutely incredible. And if you get the newer editions of RoboCop, it's uncut, so you're getting all of the gore put back in there. It's a vicious movie. It's a vicious movie. Even when it's cut, it's vicious. That's how you know a movie's brutal. If it's cut by the MPAA and it still just has that feeling of just it being brutal. This movie uncut is like that times 1,000. People are getting holes blown through their body, getting arms blown off, just headshots and blood squibs galore. I mean, it's a really amazing what they were able to do with this movie with the effects. I like Ed 209? I like the Ed 209 robot, but I feel like it never really peaked. That's my only issue with that character is they bring it in. It's real cool looking. Should have been a cool fight, kind of like what we got at the end of RoboCop 2 between RoboCop and Ed 209. Some kind of fight, something. But all it is RoboCop can go down the stairs and Ed 209 can't. And that's it. Ed 209, this big badass machine gets defeated by stairs. So I do wish that could have been fixed. The ending to these movies, RoboCop 1 and 2, those are big problems. Those are big problems because they feel like they ran out of money in both movies. Both movies have extremely abrupt endings that feel out of nowhere, that feel like they were just shot on a random day, not even decent lighting, and it looks rushed. Like it didn't have enough money for the ending. Um, so I feel like the ending could have been done better. The Ed 209 stuff could have been done better. And so in reality, making a remake, as long as you stick close to the source, you could have improved some things. But even in that, they did have more sophisticated action, I guess you could say, but it still wasn't memorable because it was all CG. And this movie, the stop motion holds up way better than the CG. I love stop motion. I love the puppetry on Ed 209 or the animatronics. I think the Robocop suit looks great in this movie. I love my favorite suit is from the second one, but I love the look of the suit in this. I think the movie is just infinitely classic with so many different good scenes. It's paced extremely well. It's got a great villain. I love the ending. You know, Dick, you're fired. And thank you. And then just shoots him out the window. Okay, that's another thing that doesn't hold up. The shot of the villain falling from the window looks really bad. It's like a claymation figure. Looks real bad. Mainly the ending. The ending, I think, bitches leave. Yeah, what's up, Brian? How you doing? I love that scene. I love Kurtwood Smith. Everything he says in this movie is legendary. Everything. He's so good. But yeah, I think the ending could have been done a bit better. There are little things here and there that could have been done a little bit better. But I still do think Robocop is a great film. It's phenomenal. It's well made. It's got heart to it. It's got just a lot of elements that, even though I love Robocop 2, I do think Robocop 2 could have studied the first movie a bit more. Just a bit more. But yeah, Robocop 1 is a classic for good reason. I'm going to give it a 4.5 or maybe a 5 out of 5, which is crazy because for as many problems as it has, it shouldn't be a 5 out of 5. But for how much it overcomes, can you fly, Bobby? For as many things as it overcomes, I think it kind of balances out. So either a 4.5 or a 5 out of 5 for me. It's excellent. We killed you, man. You can't do this. You're a cop. I love how he's just throwing him everywhere. Shit. But yeah, so RoboCop came out and it was a bit worrisome. You know, was it going to be a hit? Was it going to be something marketable, credible? And actually, it was. It was a pretty good hit. It critically got a lot of fame, financially made a lot of money, and I want to say Orion Pictures, which unfortunately failed not long after RoboCop 2. I think RoboCop 2 was like, or was it RoboCop 3? I can't remember. But Orion, I know they went into like a lot of financial troubles with their studio. It wasn't making money. But yeah, RoboCop 1, 4.5 or a 5 out of 5. For me, it's a great movie. And yeah, I mean it's a classic. I love it. But in 1990, we got a sequel. And the sequel, of course, was no other than RoboCop 2. Boom. I gotta give them props. At least they put some artwork. I mean, it's not the best artwork, but it's artwork. They put artwork on the disc. Oh my god. This MGM 20th Century Fox release has artwork on it. Wow, I can't believe that. It's becoming rare for that to happen. But RoboCop 2, very, very anticipated film, both for audiences at the time and for me. This is a movie that I knew nothing about. Didn't know a single thing about it. Knew nothing about the plot, the characters, anything. And I had always heard the sequels were bad, so I avoided them. Everybody said RoboCop 2 and 3 were just not as good as the original. I seen that. These are good enough. These are real cheap, and they look fine. They have the gore. I know that everybody's getting the 4Ks and everything of it right now. I think that's fine. I think it looks okay. Maybe one day, maybe if they make a double pack with Robocop 1, or maybe if they release Robocop 2 in 4K, I'll probably, I don't know. Maybe not. I think I'm good with that. But I heard they did a pretty good job with that 4K. Or is this a Blu-ray? I can't remember. But Robocop 2. This was directed by Irvin Kershner, of course, the director of Empire Strikes Back, I believe. And I know that, yeah, Never Say Never. He directed Never Say Never Again. On Deadly Ground. Oh, shit. He directed some big. Yeah, I mean, he's a well-known director. And I know he was brung in to direct Empire by George Lucas. I believe he taught George Lucas as like his mentor. So he was brung in to direct Empire. Got some more work after that. And Robocop 2, I think, is an excellent sequel. I think this is a sequel that needs to be talked about more. I think this is a sequel that deserves more credit. And I think it's about as good as a sequel as you're going to get. It's a movie that does a whole new thing, new ideas, new approaches, just a lot of new stuff going on here. A darker film, a more serious film, a film with a lot of guts and taking a lot of risks. And I think it really got pulled off. I really, really enjoy Robocop 2. I love the idea of this guy, Kane, who's made this drug, and everybody's hooked on it in the city. Of course, crime is still very high. There are kids, like little kids running around with guns and drugs and stuff and selling drugs. I mean, it's real dark. And the idea that Robocop gets torn apart, put back together, his mind's reset. The idea that Kane, I like how Kane starts out as a human bad guy, but as the movie goes along, he becomes Robocop 2. This real badass Robocop who, of course, there's the legendary third act fight between him and the normal Robocop. I love the look of the suit in this movie for the first Robocop. I love the more blue look to it. I think the action scenes are even better in this movie. I think the effects hold up a lot better in this movie. They went for it with this sequel. It was like, all right, we're making a sequel, more blood, more darkness, more craziness, more action. Let's fucking go. And I love that. I love everything. And I love the music. I love how it's shot. Love the villains. I love the fact that it's more darker. And how you got it more darker than the first movie, I don't even know. But Robocop in this movie is badass. He's badass. I think Nancy Allen coming back was a good choice. She does a great job once again in this movie. The ending fight between Robocop and Robocop 2 is absolutely wonderful. The stop motion animation, and it really does go to show that to me looks way better than CG. It works a lot more than CG. It just, I love that ending. I love how OCP is the battleground, and it's OCP in this movie you hate because they're involved even more in this movie's plot, and Dan O'Hurley is still there. He's, just very good villain, or at least background villains. And I love the fact that OCP is still around and is also a big part of this film. And yeah, I mean, it's just real violent, real bloody, real grimy, and an excellent follow-up to the first movie. I mean, it builds upon things, adds more stuff to Robocop, more action scenes, more gadgets. It's directed by Irvin Kershner wonderfully. It's shot so well, directed so well. I mean, it's got a good soundtrack. I mean, it's like the perfect sequel. My only issues is that there is some acting that I think is bad. Mainly the little kid actor. I thought he was terrible. I thought the one chick was horrible that works with them. I think the idea that Robocop gets taken out of commission for a little bit in this movie kind of slows it away, like a little bit down. The ending felt a bit cheap because it's like, okay, Robocop fights this robot, wins, and OCP just gets away again. And to be continued, or that doesn't really. I don't know. Does it say to be continued? Might as well. I mean, it just ends with them looking, and oh my god, it's gonna be continued. I don't know. It was a real cheesy ending. It feels like the ending they just were like, oh, we're out of money. But I will say, the ending fight is 1,000 times better than the ending fight between RoboCop and Ed 209. Ed 209, that was just like him falling down some stairs. That's it. Here, punch through walls, down underground, through the build, up through these, just everywhere you could imagine they fight, ending it on the streets, and just the way it all, by the end of the fight, is just broken and fire everywhere. Excellent sequel. RoboCop 2 is the follow-up. It is the follow-up, and I think it should have kept that tone for the rest of the series. Dark, gory, bloody, action, cool characters. You could have got a franchise. It's possible. You could do it. And at this time, RoboCop was red hot. I mean, you had the toys, you had just everything, T-shirts. And I think, unfortunately, it did more harm to RoboCop than good. Because this one was a pretty big hit, and I think was decently received by critics. But I think it made a decent amount of money. Once again distributed by Orion Pictures. $25 million budget, made $45 million, so it did okay return. And so they went for it, and they made RoboCop 3. Man. RoboCop 3 came out in 1993. It was supposed to come out a lot earlier than that, but it got shelved, and it was delayed and delayed and delayed. And, oh man. The movie doesn't suck. It's not terrible. It's not an embarrassment of a sequel, but it's just a lackluster movie. I mean, you got the first two, rated R, memorable, well done. This one going to PG-13 and recasting Peter Weller, and OCP is just the lamest version in this movie. They suck. I hate how they portray OCP. Like, there's some bad James Bond villains in this movie. I hate this other group that comes in. This real shitty military type group. I don't even remember their fucking names. It was real lame. Real lame. The mega corporation Omni Consumer Products. Yeah, Delta City, which they mentioned in the first two, which, okay, cool. They brought back that idea. It is a cool idea. I mean, it could be. I mean, it's slightly a cool idea. The idea that they're going to build this city and they're going to have their own military and they're going to run things on the ground, and you could have had RoboCop fighting back with people. The idea of the resistance is cool, but it really is sounding like Terminator. It really is. I mean, you got this big giant corporation combined with this military group taking over the city. RoboCop is there. You have a resistance. It could have been cool. I wouldn't have minded if it was done well. But the resistance fucking sucks. It's fucking lame. Who could replace Paul Walker or Peter Weller? I was like, Paul Walker. Who the fuck did replace? I mean, Robert John Burke. The only thing I've seen him in was the Thinner movie, Stephen King's Thinner. He was in Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. He was in Safe. He's not really a huge actor, and I didn't think he worked. I really didn't think he worked. Just didn't. None of the lines were cool. So RoboCop 1 and 2, they made RoboCop badass. They had him have cool lines, shooting people, not giving a crap. This movie, it's PG. So he's not saying anything cool. He's saying really, really bad lines. He's shooting people, but you see no blood, no anything. The villains suck. As I hate the military villains. Then you have these punk rock looking villains that suck. Then you have these samurai, robo samurais. Horrible. Horrible. Awful. Robo samurais that when they get punched in the face, they're all like, like so bad, man. It's so, I will admit that's so, the idea of it. And they become background villains. They're not even like main villains. They're just, you know, generic background villains. This movie is just, it's lackluster. It's boring. It's an hour and 44 minutes. Is that longer than the other one? I think maybe Robocop 2 is a bit longer. Yeah, Robocop 2 is almost 2 hours. Robocop 3 is an hour and 40 something minutes, 44 minutes. God, it's so boring. It's so slow. The action scenes suck. They pale in comparison to the other movies. There's just absolutely nothing to this. The cast sucks. Everyone sucks. Nancy Allen, she's there for nothing and dies for nothing. It's horrible. They make her an idiot and they kill her off in a dumb way. Oh man, I mean, I did say I don't hate this movie, but it is like there are things in it that I'm just like, I think what it is, it's just forgettable. It's forgettable, boring, dull, lame, lackluster, PG, nothing creative, nothing inventive. I don't like OCP in this movie. I don't like the people they work with. I don't like the punk rock villains. I don't like the samurai Robocop, not Robocop, but robot things. Yeah. I think overall it's just really forgettable, really boring, really stupid, really lackluster. It just extremely pales in comparison to the first two. And it bombed, and Fred Decker lost his career over this movie. I mean, it's an ugly movie. It's a real ugly movie. I mean, this came out at the time where I think Robocop was just, you know, it just wasn't as popular as it once was. And also, it just didn't hook anybody. I don't blame them. I've seen the trailer, and the trailer sucks. At a budget of $22 million, made $10 million, so it bombed horribly. And I do think Fred Decker could have been a good choice for this movie. I mean, Fred Decker, I really love Night of the Creeps. I know he did the Monster Squad. I haven't seen that. But this is just lame. It's lame. It's boring. It's got a stupid plot. And it's basically what Robocop 1 could have been. I mean, here's what we got. You want to see Robocop done bad? Like Goof Troop bad? It's Robocop 3. Because in this one, they make Ed 209. This little girl main character, she, you know, I don't want to be mean by saying like, oh, her acting sucks. But her character and I guess her acting does it's just poor. It's a poor character. It's not done well. Didn't care about this character at all. She can hack things, and she hacks Ed 209 and makes him a puppy dog thing where he's like running around like a dog. And it's just like, oh my god, dude. The Resistance people suck. Their acting's terrible. Yeah. Overall, Robocop 3 sucks. It's funny. I started out so positive, right, guys? I think what it is I get so upset at what could have been. You got an idea of this military. Ooh, okay, cool. The idea that there is no police. Is it this or the second one where there's no police? I think it might be the second one. But you have the idea that, like, they're taking over the city, and you got OCP, who's the main villain, finally, not just a background villain. Which I guess you could say they're the main villains in the first two, but in reality, it's like people that work with OCP. Here, OCP is the main thing. and they had people working for them in this movie, like the military people. They're the background stuff. But it's just poorly done. Overall, I think I forgot to rank RoboCop 2. I'd give it a 4 out of 5. This one I'm going to give a 2 out of 5. It's nothing. It's nothing at all compared to the first two. And the RoboCop remake, I am absolutely not a fan of. I think it's one of the worst remakes out there. It replaces a lot of practical effects with CGI, and overall, I think that one sucks as well. But overall, that's going to do it on my thoughts on the RoboCop trilogy. This is actually kind of a quick stream, but yeah. RoboCop 1 is one of my favorites. RoboCop 2 is one of my favorite sequels. RoboCop 3 is a lame one. And the remake is forgettable as heck. But anyways, y'all, Brian, Keen, thank you guys so much for being here and checking out the stream. Thank you everybody else that's watched, and we will see you guys on the next one. You guys have a good night. Peace.